The world of Magic the Gathering is on fire today, as Wizards of the Coast has come out and admitted that the standard format is dying off in game stores. And if that wasn't bad enough, the full contents for Brothers War Jumpstart have been revealed, and players are very angry.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well, because we have gathered for another installment of Mega Magic News, and this one is super juicy. What's going on with Standard is absolutely wild. So let's start out with that, and then we'll finish off with the dessert of talking about the 2 Jumpstarts that are coming. So what you're going to need to see first is this tweet. It is from Aaron Forsyth, and it says the following. Over the past few years, Standard play has dried up in many stores. I have my own list of possible reasons, but I'd love to hear from you about your store community. Why has sanctioned Standard play declined relative to other formats in your store? Now, this is huge to me, okay? Aaron Forsyth is a vice president over at Wizards of the Coast, and if I'm not mistaken, he's part of the design team. But either way, you have a VP who's coming out and categorically stating that Standard play has dried up in many stores, right? And we're talking about corporate language, so I'm sure that it's more dire than that. If you're coming out and going, look, we have our own reasons and lists, but just maybe like, hey, it's like, I got this dog I haven't been feeding, and maybe you could tell me what's wrong with it. Yeah, feed the dog, dude. That's what it really comes down to. The simplest way to put it with this is feed the dog. They said, nah. So I have a list of basically a number of items that have contributed to this downfall of Standard, and a lot of it is absolutely Wizards of the Coast's fault. Part of it is the fact that the world shut down as well. But let's get into it, because I have a number of notes discussing why Standard is pretty much donezo, and I don't know if it's going to come back anywhere other than Arena, really. Wizards might be able to pull it back up, but we might see a fundamental shift in the overall strategy of Magic, because you have to understand that the Standard format, for the longest time, has been the most important thing in Magic the Gathering. If you're a dinosaur like me, you remember before Standard existed. There wasn't actually formats. There was just Magic. You played it. Originally, you could just play with any number of whatever you got your hands on, and then they changed it to, okay, you can only play 4 ofs, and then they changed it to, okay, we got a restricted list, you can only play with one of these, and then they came up with Type 1 and Type 2. And those were the 2 categories where you can play with everything in Type 1, but Type 2 was the very first Standard. And it was a way of saying, yo, you can only play with stuff from roughly the last 2 years, kind of. And what it does is it gives an entryway for new players where they don't have to dive into a pool of 20,000 different cards, compete with all that, deal with all that complexity. There'll be an ever-changing pool of cards that people can come and get in on. And for the longest time, Standard was managed relatively well. I mean, we'd have some hiccups here and there, but overall, if there was a problem with Standard, Wizards of the Coast philosophy was, if you don't fix Standard, we'll find somebody who can. It wasn't like, psh, who cares about Standard? And so Standard served as the gateway for new players, but also it fed cards into Modern. It fed cards into other formats like Commander, stuff like that. So it served a number of different purposes, and as a result, it got a lot of attention and a lot of care. But at a certain point, Wizards of the Coast heard what a lot of people have been trumpeting and saying, Commander is the biggest format in Magic. It's the biggest format in Magic. Now, there's no way to absolutely quantify it, but clearly the information says to Wizards, hey, that's the route we're going to go. So they start making shifts towards Commander, but at the same time, you also have this directive where Arena comes along, and they're like, okay, we're going to push our players into Arena. We are going to push Arena very, very hard, to the point where the sacrifices that they made for Arena are part of what destroyed Standard. Originally, you have Standard as the gateway into Magic, and also as the main format that you're going to use for your FNMs, all your events. The pro players are playing Standard all the time. They're writing articles about it. If you want to be a Magic pro player, you are paying attention to Standard. Yeah, you need to pay attention to drafting and other formats as well, but you need to be on top of Standard and somewhat modern. But Standard was always really prominently held up. And that was really, really crucial because Standard's an incredibly expensive format. It's the gateway format. It's also the most expensive format. Wizards knows a lot of people only stick in Magic for a year and a half. So they want to milk as much as they can off you. And Standard was part of how they do that. You've got big, expensive mythics. Like if you want to get an idea of how much money they're losing out here by people not getting into Standard and things like that, you have a situation where the last time I saw the projected number for Arena, it went like this. The average Arena player was responsible for paying Wizards like $75. $75 for a year. Now, I want you to imagine trying to play Standard with $75. What are you playing? Mono Red Rush, right? Because that's the only deck you can afford, and you probably can't even afford all the mythics for it. So $75 in the physical world will get you 2 of the mythics you need to replace that out of your 60-card deck. It's a completely different world. The money that exists in Standard is huge, which is why you got people coming and going, hey, guys, why do you think that this isn't happening anymore? And it's like, okay. So you have this format that the reason everybody's playing it is because you're taking good care of it. It's the path to the Pro Tour, all of that stuff. And then you come along and go, okay, hold on. Here's the thing. Let's destroy the Pro Tour. Let's just gut it. We're going to cut the Pro Tour out because we want to drive people to Arena. So we're going to move the Pro Tour over to Arena. But we're just going to make it like 20 some odd people. If you guys don't know what that was all about, part of it was just controlling the narrative. Wizards of the Coast does not like people saying what they want to say. So they use whatever tools they can to keep people under control. With content creators, it's bribes of, hey, we'll give you spoiler cards. We'll give you a product. Just don't say anything bad. They tried it on me. I got that secret lair sent out, but I don't play ball the right way, so they won't work with me anymore. But they have, if you don't believe me that they want to control people, understand that everybody who was in the Magic Pro League was required to sign a contract stating that they would not disparage Wizards of the Coast or they would be financially fined. Think about that. Wizards of the Coast made sure to put that as a priority in the contract, but they did not prioritize explaining to anybody how you could get into the Pro League. They made no path to the Pro League. So basically, they gutted the paper Pro League, they switched it to Arena, they said there's no way into it, and even when they created the Rivals League, they didn't know what was going on. The original Pro League, they signed people to play Magic who didn't play Magic as part of the Pro League. Like, they literally got so crazy that they're like, this is going to be the biggest thing in esports. Come on over to Arena, folks. Every booster pack you open that you get from the LGS, you're met with a little card that says, you don't need a table. You can play anytime you want. Come online and play. What happens when the world shuts down with the demic? Well, guess what? Wizards of the Coast goes, spell table, what's that? That's where people play Magic over cameras. We could do that, or what we could do is we could pretend like we're helping the LGSs, and we could tell the LGSs to get every single one of their players who come in for the FNMs to come and register and play Arena. And we'll get them playing Arena week after week after week until we have all of them on there. And they succeeded. They succeeded wildly in their goal of converting paper players into digital Arena players, which was their goal, thinking deludedly that somehow it would translate to the same amount of money. But Arena's not paper Magic. You don't get to play with people the same way. It's not the same level of interaction. Arena is not a social experience. It's fun playing Magic, but it is not a social experience. It's a solitary experience. People aren't going to pay as much for it. You basically said, hey, you know what? I'm going to create this setup where you can get most of what you're getting for free here, and it's just the social aspect that you're missing. And people aren't going to pay $400 to $600, the cost of a standard deck a lot of the times, right? They're not going to pay that much just for the social experience. On top of the fact that when you have 2 years off of playing paper Magic, everybody's reset for standard. I don't know how they don't know this is going to be a big thing for standard when they literally have it set up on Arena where every time there's a rotation they go, oh, we've got the renewal egg. We're giving you more stuff. We know we're taking things away in rotation, but we'll give you more. But with paper, you had to deal with, I made a joke once about something called super rotation where they were rotating all the cards out of standard. And some people thought it was real, but it was a funny joke. But that's actually what happened. Essentially, we had in paper Magic super rotation. Yeah, you could play on Arena Arena. Yeah, you built up your collection on Arena, but you didn't build up your physical collection. You weren't spending a ton of money buying cards, keeping up with all the stuff you wanted for Standard. You were probably focusing your Magic purchases on other things, like secret layers and all this. So Wizards of the Coast is undermining LGSs at every corner, right? They're basically going, we're going to sell singles through secret layers. We're going to ditch MSRP because MSRP is how people know we're cranking up prices. So if we get rid of our MSRP, then the LGS puts up prices, they take the heat for it. Like Wizards has been hosing LGSs in every way conceivable. Is Wizards letting them sell the 30th anniversary product? Are they letting them get in on that? No. They're sending one box to be like, oh no, look, we gave them a box. Isn't that nice of us? It's generous because it's worth $1,000 because we said so. Like they have been hosing LGSs. Every pack says go play on Arena. They get everybody on Arena. They don't bring back any support for paper really in terms of Standard, even when they're like, we're bringing back the Pro Tour. When they come back with their tails between their legs and go, okay guys, we're bringing back the Pro Tour and paper, we're sorry. Still, they're not trumpeting Standard right away. What's this first big deal going to be? Pioneer. What's everybody talking about Pioneer? What's a big problem for Standard? Pioneer. Pioneer is eating Standard's lunch because Standard's too expensive. It rotates. Your cards are constantly rotating. The environments get stale quickly. Wizards of the Coast only wants to seem to ban things when it's like, okay, yo, check out the warehouses. Have we shipped every box? Is it all sold? Oh, then it's definitely time to ban that Mythic. You know what I mean? They do not want to manage the format properly. They go fire design, just put it out there. If they could have their way, they would have everything act like Historic on Arena, where they could just tweak things, go, we don't need to ban it. Like they made Historic as into a rotating automatic, like they're forcing rotation into Historic because they want you to be forced to run in a hamster wheel. Why do you think they're not giving you Pioneer on Arena for years? Because they know Pioneer versus Standard. You go, wait, I get all this stuff for Pioneer and I'm good for, like, Pioneer's a non-rotating format. Modern's a non-rotating, they're all non-rotating formats, and the only way Wizards can force a rotation is through things like Modern Horizons 2, so they can't muck up the formats the same way. So people are coming back, or new people are coming in and going, I'm not playing Standard. It's a complete garbage dumpster fire. Wizards has done nothing to make Standard feel like there's anything special about it. When you look at it on paper, it's literally the most expensive, quickly obsoleted. Why would you ever engage with that? So why would stores support that when these other formats are going to do better? Why are you going to worry about Standard singles where, oh, we open the packs, 4 days later, it's worth nothing? It's Wizards of the Coast has gone crazy from so many different angles, and they didn't take the care to keep Standard going. The whole gutting of the Pro Tour led to this as well. They basically sent tons of signals to us that Standard doesn't matter. They were just like, we'll get them all on Arena, and then they went, wait, this isn't working, we're making way more money on paper. Get them back, go! Why won't you play Standard? Because it's a terrible deal. And you had us running in the hamster wheel for years, and there were tons of people running in the hamster wheel. So if you came to the store and you wanted to play Magic every Friday night, you had to play Standard. Do you want to be a pro player? Well, you better get good at Standard, because that's what it's going to take. But Wizards literally said Standard doesn't matter. They trumpeted it from the rooftops and went, hey, why doesn't Standard matter anymore? Because you told us that. You don't get to have the money without putting in the work. You literally, like, Standard was them planting little saplings. That was them planting saplings as they harvested the woods, when they guarded Standard properly. But now they're just clear-cutting the forest and not planting saplings, going, where's the wood, guys? Where's the wood? You have to actually plant it, and it takes time. No, money now, no work. We're not going to make, it's just Pioneer ate Standard's lunch. Arena ate Paper's lunch. So there's a whole bunch of lunch eaten. Do you want to start over from scratch? It's absolutely insane that they wouldn't think this would happen. You can't destroy the Pro Tour and then pretend like paper doesn't matter. And they, like, how many years did they do the Arena gets its pre-releases first? And they've only recently switched it back because they went, wait a minute, you mean if we give everybody, like, access to this stuff earlier and they can just kind of get it, like, through this way and they don't have to spend as much money, they're not going to spend all the money on the cards? But I thought, like, hey, why don't you spend those hundreds of dollars on digital cards? Oh, wait, they're not cards and you don't own them and you can never get them. So Arena has totally hosed Standard in that regard. It's the only place for Standard now. They wanted everybody to come and play on there, and they got their wish. They just didn't realize that they were going to be bottling Standard as pretty much arena main format. So unless Wizards quickly reverse courses and goes, okay, Standard is actually going to be part of all the big Pro Tours, and there's incentives and reasons to be a part of it, aside from Arena's piddly little rewards, then Standard is pretty much getting dusted. And if Standard gets dusted, how does that change Magic's set design overall? Do they just scrap the Standard format and then just go tilt with whatever? Will they try and create some new rotating format? Or will they go like this? We're going to stop making standards. Oh man, what if they stopped making standard sets and started making 3 or 4 modern sets a year, 4 or 5 commander sets a year? Like, we're going into crazy town, guys. Understand that they are desperate for money right now. They got it all up in their head that Arena was going to be the thing. They will know your name. And they scrapped the Pro Tour, replaced it with a digital Pro Tour, scrapped that one, brought the paper tour back, but also were like, you can never actually like make a living off of this. And so they can't get their messaging right. They need a proper aspirational path, full on. If you want people to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars and come and play in competitive events weekly, you need to give them incentive to do so. It's crazy that that even needs to be stated, but Wizards of the Coast has lost their minds, and I especially think with the shutdown of the world, the fact that people kept buying things and everything, they just got to the point where they felt like they could do no wrong and everything was just a win. But now they're starting to see the repercussions of previous choices. And guys, this is how it works. I know I beat the drum a lot with problems, but the thing is, it takes a long time for the problems to actually surface and do their damage. Magic is in a bad state right now. If that bothers you mentally and makes you uncomfortable, stay away from this kind of content for now. You can still go enjoy your cards. It's just a hobby. Have fun with it. Like, understand that things are bad with the game, and we talk about this because it's cathartic and we want improvement. But if it affects you mentally, don't ever let it do that. Go have a good time. Life is short, and this is our collective hobby. And underneath it all, it doesn't seem like it to some people, but I love Magic. I'm hyped for the pre-release. It's coming this weekend. I want Magic to be around forever. So I'm like that naggy wife who's like, bro, get your blood pressure checked, all right? Let the doctor do the cup and cough, son. I know he's got cold hands, but sack to hand, bro. Just do it. That's what it's going to take to survive. That's how I am with Magic, okay? I'm Magic's loud, naggy wife. They tried to buy me off of the secret lair, but I ain't stopping my yapping, okay? So, let's turn to the other problem we have to talk about, which is Jumpstart and Wizards' horrible messaging and marketing. Them calling these products Jumpstart, in my mind, is absolute madness and stupidity. The original Jumpstart was a fantastic product. It's a beginner product. Like, the idea of Jumpstart product is great. It's for beginners. Grab 2 little packs of 20 cards, slap them together into a sandwich of fun, and go off, have your happy little meal, right? That's great. And the first one had crazy amount of themes. All kinds of new cards introduced to the game, and a lot of variety. A lot of fun. But then the second Jumpstart, which was the one that we saw with Dominaria United, is the start of a new wave of Jumpstarts, and it completely takes the concept and wait, hold on. The previous one had tons of new cards and a bunch of different concepts. And it's like, this one offers 5 different cards. And it's like, what? It's like, yep, there are 5 unique cards to this. Okay. And there's 10 themes. And so are there like a bunch of like unique commons and uncommons like the other ones? No, they're all cards you can get in the Brothers War. And it's like, so there's only 1 card in these boosters that I can get that's not in the Brothers War. Yeah, and actually you can get those in set and collector boosters. So there's no cards in these boosters that I can't get anywhere else. Yeah, but it's for a great variety experience, but you barely have any variety. Like, it works as a beginner product. The problem is you can't have 2 kinds of Jumpstart. That's where everybody's getting angry, because some people are angry about, yo, you tell me I'm getting Jumpstart, that tells me I'm getting 30, 40 different themes. There are going to be hundreds of new cards and a bunch of variety and excitement. There are people I know who bought a box of the Dominaria United Jumpstart. I'm going to take this to work and me and my boys are going to play with it. And after cracking a couple packs, they were bitter. They were like, bro, this is garbage. I got the previous Jumpstart, right? And so people are angry going, it's garbage. But there are other people who are angry saying, dude, this is legitimately a good product. It's great for beginners. You shouldn't malign it. It does exactly what it's supposed to. And those people are right too. Both groups are right. It is a great product for beginners. But the problem is delineation and marketing. Jumpstart can either mean, it can mean one or the other. And how do you know which one it is? By the name. Okay, Jumpstart Brothers War, Jumpstart 2022, Jumpstart Dominaria, Jumpstart. Just, I say all of those. If you're really in the know, you know which one of those are like the ones that are going to be theme boosters. But that's what Jumpstart has become. We have Jumpstart Set, which is Jumpstart Theme Booster. It's literally the same concept, slightly tweaked. And then you have Jumpstart Full On, which is Jumpstart 2022, which comes out the month after. So you've got Jumpstart Brothers War and then Jumpstart 2022 coming out within a month of each other with completely different concepts. The Brothers War is an intro theme whatever booster, and 2022 is the Jumpstart that everybody wants. And so what this is going to mean is right when we roll around to Phyrexia All is One, there's going to be even more rage exploding because people are going to get Jumpstart 2022 and be like, they fixed the Jumpstart! Jumpstart is fire now! Well, I'm back on the Jumpstart train, baby! And then they open up the Phyrexia All be One and they're like, oh, we'll be crap more like it. What is this? Like, what happened? Why is it bad again? It blows my mind. Jumpstart is the only product line that Wizards of the Coast has that is two different things at the same time. I know they went crazy with Secret Lair, and what Secret Lair can be anything. It used to be just a handful of cards, but now it can be a commander deck that's 95 reprints with no actual, we've got 5 cards that are double-sided new, and everything else is just a reprint with no new artwork. And oh, by the way, you can wait a whole year to get it. Like, this whole thing is a clown show, guys, and people's anger is justified. Anyways, I've covered everything I have to say for today. I'm off. Maybe I need to go and get a bit of rest, because this is doing my head in, friends. Big thank you to all of my patrons. I will be live streaming tonight like I do every night, either tonight here on this channel or over on my other YouTube channel, Hatcher. So come on by if you want to have a chat. Nice to see you, and I'll catch you next time.